What's going on, everybody? This is Greg Salzillo again, JLS Customs. Behind me is my latest project. This is a 1933 Dodge, and it is completely custom. This truck here was built in about 4 months with a buddy, and we've had a group of people around us kind of helping us, supporting us, but mainly 2 guys in a garage. Nothing fancy, nothing special. We're normally by trade rat rodders. We wanted to show the world that we could step outside of our comfort zone and build something just over the top, and that's what this is behind us. So again, it's a 1933 Dodge pickup truck. It is a complete tubular chassis. Everything in this thing is hand built by us on a frame table in our shop. We created a cantilever front suspension all out of this wild, crazy mind up here. Many nights of sitting up, dreaming, building, drawing, just trying to think outside of the box and do stuff that hadn't been done before. You could see the chassis. We went ahead and put an original 331 Hemi from a 1954 Chrysler in it. This thing is probably pushing 800 or so horsepower. It is a monster and a blast to drive. We went ahead and fully chopped this thing, body worked it, painted it, and brought these 2 colors just out of my mind to life, and I think they complement each other extremely well. It's been here at SEMA for maybe a couple hours, and the attention this thing has gotten is just insane. I don't know if you guys saw up here, but there's all these brass Allens. There's probably around ballpark 400 of these Allen bolts throughout this whole thing. We just kind of took an idea and carried it throughout and just kind of kept going with it. I had a good friend from Oregon come down and spend some time with us and help us. He put custom wire wrap on our exhaust down here, which really kind of just sets this thing over the top and just shows kind of that custom touch that we were trying to put on it. As you come back, you can again see this trussed tubular chassis. Down below, our radiators are down there. If you saw up front, we wanted to keep that motor and cantilever suspension really just out in the open, so it kind of reaches out and pulls you in. So with doing that, we had to move the radiators to the rear, and they're mounted in here. They've got fans on them that pull air through the chassis. Going down the road at 100 miles an hour, it pulls enough air and keeps this motor nice and cool. One of the cool things that I did was I really fell in love with these Weld wheels. These wheels are shown all across all of the street outlaws, all the drag racers across the country. I fell in love with them, and I wanted to do something completely different. So they're designed for front of these dragster cars. I wanted to throw them in the rear of it, which nobody's done. They're real narrow, and keeping kind of traditional to the era of these vehicles, they ran real narrow tires in the rear. So I used this wheel, put a bias ply tire on it, and we kind of kept traditional to that theme of what these things would have came with back in the 30s. If you look throughout here, you can see again a lot of our bolts basically that have been carried throughout. We got our logo. You can see the radiators, you can see the custom cantilever suspension. One of the cool things with this suspension, there is very few in the country that are done this way. It's an underslung rear end. The rear end sits on top of the chassis. So when you lift and lower this car as it's on full air ride, the chassis moves up and down and the rear end stays completely in place. Traditionally, it would be the other way around. The chassis rides on top of the axle and lifts and lowers. Again, we flipped it. So trying to be different, trying to be creative and unique. There's a lot of detail in this thing. This is a fuel fill. It came off of like a Harley Bobber, I want to say, motorcycle. I had this brass and gold theme going, so I wanted to just keep incorporating and keep tying it all in, and therefore we got that. I don't know if you noticed, but there's variegated gold leaf throughout this thing everywhere. The rear of this truck is probably one of the biggest, more proud things that I've done. It's just got such sleek, sexy lines to it. This tailgate was off of like a 50s, 60s Dodge D100. I found this at Pomona swap meet, bought it, cut this thing up, and I found these side panels, the box panels, for like 40 bucks at a different swap meet. I put them on my frame table and I just started cutting and going to town. The thing started kind of talking to me. You can see these slender lines. When I saw those slender lines, what I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of accentuate and really bring them out. So I carried that bolt theme throughout it and then integrated my brake lights, tail lights, and blinkers in between them. So all these in between holes are all of the tail lights, blinkers, and brake lights. As you keep walking around, you can see our sponsor board. We've got quite a few good sponsors. One of the best, I have to say, is definitely Speedhut. They've helped us out tremendously. Not only have they helped us out, they knocked it out of the ballpark with our custom gauges that are in this thing, and wait till you guys see what we did with those. As you come around, you just keep looking at detail. It does not stop everywhere we go. I couldn't find door hinges for this thing. I was in Ace Hardware and I saw these little brass acorn nuts, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna put those on there than just a traditional Model A door pin or something like that, and just made it work. And it's just these little details that make so much difference. If you come in here and look in the cab, this thing is one of a kind in the country. This thing has no standard ignition, no blinker switches, no anything. It all runs off of an iPad. So you basically turn your iPad on, you're gonna basically activate your fuel pump, your water pump, your fans, everything is controlled off this iPad. We were kind of running out of room, and I put a really custom steering wheel in there that mimics my actual wheels. And it was so busy, I didn't want to put my Speedhut gauges behind. I wanted to see them, and I wanted to showcase that product that they put out there. So I moved the gauges over to the passenger side. When I did that, I had this gold crazy theme going. I figured, you know what? I'm gonna take this same variegated gold leaf, and I wrapped it around their sleek bezel to just tie it in and kind of, again, knock it out of the park. Speedhut went ahead and threw my logo into the gauges and kind of went above and beyond with everything else that they've done for us. You've got leather that we kind of just took a distressed brown leather and customized, tweaked it, created our own custom seats. You can again see the brass Allens within the door panels and the tunnel. You come into just a monster of a motor, right? We've got the 331 with the 671 blower, dual 650 carbs. Everything is custom and tuned. The guys over at Welder Up, Vegas Rat Rods, they have been working on this thing with me night and day for the last few days. The man that built the motor is Merlin. He is the master mechanic for that shop. And these guys have basically taken me under their wing and helped me bring this dream of mine to life, basically. As we wrap around, we just come back to this front end, and you can just see all that detail once again. The glass. I'm trying to go to sleep at night and things are just coming to me as I'm laying in bed, and that was one of those last minute details, was this gold tint. You see it as you walk down the alleyway here. The blower reflects out of that and it just screams nasty monster. Just so cool. We went ahead and put this rigid light bar. We didn't want big bulky headlights hanging off of it, so we went with this sleek little, headlight. Probably not the most legal thing, but look at the truck. It just was fitting for it. I thank you guys for following along. I cannot thank Speedhut gauges enough. If you guys haven't seen or checked them out, please do. That is one of the easiest products to work with, one of the best companies to work with, very personable people, just an amazing company all around, and I can't thank Speedhut enough for the opportunity they gave me to bring 2 builds to SEMA this year. So thank you, Speedhut, and I look forward to what's next.